These are the mysterious ruins of Puma Punku, nearly 13,000 feet.
High in the rugged mountains of Bolivia stands one of the most baffling sights on Earth, Puma Punku. At first glance, it looks like just another pile of ancient ruins. But the moment you look closer, you realize this place defies logic. Massive stone blocks, some weighing more than 100 tons, are carved with razor-sharp precision. Their edges form perfect right angles, their surfaces shine as if polished by machines, and they lock together so tightly that even a sheet of paper can't slip through the cracks. Here's the twist. According to mainstream history, these stones were shaped over 1,500 years ago using nothing more than stone hammers and bronze chisels. Modern engineers look at this and admit that level of accuracy shouldn't have been possible back then. For generations, scholars have argued over how Puma Punku was built, or whether we've even been asking the right questions at all. So, a team of modern researchers decided to try something bold, something no one had attempted before. They collected every single measurement, photograph, and 3D scan ever taken of Puma Punku, over 12 terabytes of data, and fed it all into a cutting-edge artificial intelligence system. The mission, let I figure out what no human could, but when the results came in, even the skeptics were stunned, because the digital reconstruction didn't just map the stones, it exposed a hidden order, a pattern woven into the layout itself, something far more complex and far more intentional than anyone had imagined. Before we reveal what the AI discovered, let's take a step back. To understand the how, we need to understand where Puma Punku really is and why it shouldn't exist at all. The site sits high on Bolivia's Altiplano Plateau, more than 12,000 feet above sea level. It's cold, windy, and nearly barren. Not the kind of place you'd expect to find one of the most advanced construction sites of the ancient world. This isn't your typical Incan ruin. In fact, many archaeologists admit that, for its time, Puma Punku seems impossible. The builders worked with two main types of stone, red sandstone and andesite, a rock so hard it rivals quartz. Yet according to official history, the people who built it only had simple stone and bronze tools. Cutting andesite with those? Practically unthinkable. And yet, somehow, they didn't just carve it, they engineered it. One of the largest blocks weighs over 130 tons, roughly the same as 70 family cars combined. Some claim the stones were rolled on wooden logs, but there's a problem. Puma Punku is above the tree line. There were no trees to cut into logs, so if they used wood, they had to haul it up steep mountain slopes from far below, an almost impossible task for hundreds of megaliths. And still, the mystery deepens. The precision of the stones is unlike anything else from that era. The famous H-blocks, identical in every detail, fit together like giant 3D puzzle pieces. Some even show traces of metal clamps where molten bronze once held the blocks in place, a construction technique completely unheard of for that region and period. So the big questions remain. Where did this knowledge come from? What kind of tools could create such flawless cuts? And how were these enormous stones transported through rough mountain terrain? Traditional explanations don't quite hold up. Officially, the Tiwanaku culture carved these blocks slowly, using sand, water, and primitive tools. And while small-scale experiments can reproduce a single block that way, doing it hundreds of times with micron-level precision, it doesn't add up. That's why alternative theories began to appear, like the idea that the builders somehow softened stone and poured it into molds. It could explain the perfect edges, if it were true. But scientific tests proved otherwise. The rocks show no signs of melting or chemical alteration. They're completely natural quarried stone. So the mystery stood, suspended between conventional explanations that seemed too simple and wild theories that seemed too extreme. That's when an international team launched the Altiplano project, an ambitious mission to let pure data reveal the truth. For 5 years, experts from Bolivia, Germany, Japan, and the United States worked together to map every inch of Puma Punku. They used laser scanners to capture microscopic details, radar to probe beneath the surface, satellites to trace ancient paths, and even astronomers to test whether the layout matched the stars. After years of work, they had a complete digital replica, over 12 terabytes of information. And then they handed it all over to the AI, but they didn't tell it what to look for. No myths, no theories, no assumptions, just data. They gave it a single instruction: rebuild Puma Punku in the most logical way possible. If there really was a system or pattern behind this site, maybe a machine, unburdened by human bias, could finally see it. And when the AI started processing, it didn't see ancient stones. It saw geometry, symmetry, chemical traces, celestial coordinates, pure logic. Then, out of that digital chaos, something extraordinary began to form. For the first time in history, Puma Punku rebuilt itself, digitally. For centuries, archaeologists had wandered through those broken stones, trying to imagine what once stood there. But imagination has limits. This time, AI showed us the truth, without bias, without myth, without guesswork. When advanced, AI began analyzing the ancient ruins of Puma Punku. It did something no human ever could. By scanning millions of tool marks, fractures, and surfaces, it digitally pieced together every broken stone, like solving an enormous 3D puzzle frozen in time. And what it uncovered left researchers speechless. Puma Punku wasn't just a pile of scattered blocks. It was once a vast, multi-layered complex, complete with terraces, corridors, chambers, and even intricately carved water channels designed with surgical precision. Some of these channels were so mathematically perfect that water would have flowed through them at controlled speeds, forming glass-still pools that mirrored the heavens above. Placed at exact celestial angles, those pools could have been used by ancient priests to map the stars, turning the entire site into a living observatory built right into the earth itself. But the real shock wasn't what they built, it was how they built it. The AI discovered something no archaeologist expected. Puma Punku wasn't assembled stone by stone, it was manufactured. Dozens of the famous H-blocks were nearly identical, carved from a single master template, matching each other within thousandths of an inch. That's not chaos, that's precision engineering. Across the site, 19 unique block types repeated like components in a construction kit, fitting together perfectly to form walls, platforms, and gateways. It was as if someone had mastered mass production, thousands of years before the industrial age. And then came the most astonishing discovery of all. Mathematical scans revealed that the golden ratio, 1:1.618, appears throughout the complex. Doorways, slabs, even the spacing of gates followed a perfect geometric pattern. Whoever designed Puma Punku wasn't just an architect, they were a mathematician, an artist, and perhaps a philosopher who understood the harmony between science and spirit. When astronomers compared the layout to the night sky, the puzzle deepened further. The entire complex aligned with solstices, equinoxes, and the subtle lunar cycles of around 600 AD. To the AI, one thing became clear. Puma Punku wasn't merely a temple. It was an enormous astronomical instrument, a cosmic clock designed to track centuries, not days. But then, things took a darker turn. When the AI simulated the sky patterns encoded into the structure, it noticed repeating signals, cosmic cycles that aligned with meteor showers, comet returns, and debris streams from asteroids. Could it be that the builders created Puma Punku as a warning? a message carved in stone to alert future generations about dangers from the heavens. And when scientists examined the site's destruction, they found evidence that didn't fit the usual story of erosion or earthquakes. The scattering of the blocks suggested something far more sudden and violent, perhaps a massive explosion or a celestial airburst, the very event Puma Punku might have been designed to predict. It's poetic and chilling. The structure that may have warned of the sky was possibly destroyed by the sky. But here's the part that truly haunts researchers. None of this needs aliens or myths to explain it. It points to something deeply human and deeply forgotten. A civilization that mastered geometry, astronomy, and standardized engineering. A people who carved their knowledge into stone and then vanished. No metal tools, no written texts, no survivors, only silence, and the stones themselves. And Puma Punku isn't the only mystery. Across the world, we find the same impossible fingerprints of genius. In Peru, Machu Picchu, a city in the clouds, with stones fitted so perfectly you can't slide a blade between them. In Lebanon, Baalbek's foundation blocks weigh more than 800 tons, heavier than a modern jet. In Turkey, Göbekli Tepe stands 11,000 years old, built before the invention of writing or the wheel. And, of course, the Great Pyramid of Giza, aligned flawlessly to true north, built with millions of stones, and encoded with the same golden ratio. Different continents, different ages, yet the same extraordinary precision. Maybe these weren't isolated wonders. Maybe they were fragments, echoes, of one lost legacy of human brilliance. Have you noticed how the same mathematical patterns, pi, the golden ratio, Orion's belt, repeat again and again in these ancient sites? It's as if someone, long ago, left us a message written not in words, but in stone, a message about the universe, our place in it, and the cycles that shape both heaven and earth. When you start connecting the dots, Machu Picchu, Baalbek, Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids, and Puma Punku, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Different cultures, different languages, different millennia, yet somehow the same knowledge, the same cosmic story, retold in stone. So maybe the real question isn't who built them. It's what did they know that we've forgotten? Now we reach the part that sends chills down your spine. Thanks to advanced AI reconstruction, Puma Punku can finally be seen as it once was, not a pile of shattered stones, but a flawlessly designed modular masterpiece built with astonishing precision. The more the AI reconstructed, the clearer it became. This site wasn't crafted with primitive tools or guesswork. It was engineered with the kind of precision we associate with modern technology, not ancient hammers and chisels. If places like Machu Picchu make us question what ancient people were capable of, then Puma Punku completely tears up the rulebook, because unlike Egypt or the Inca Empire, whose builders we can name, Puma Punku doesn't fit neatly into any known timeline. The Tiwanaku civilization may have used it, but all evidence says they didn't build it. So if not them, then who? That's the question AI has dropped like a bomb into the hands of archaeologists. Puma Punku might not just be another ruin. It could be the missing chapter in the story of human civilization. Actual proof that an advanced culture once existed on Earth, one capable of achievements that challenge everything we think we know. If that's true, then these aren't just broken walls. They're fossils of forgotten science. Those scattered blocks might be all that remains of a knowledge system as advanced as our own, or maybe more. And that's what makes researchers uneasy, because this mystery isn't only about how it was built, but why. The deeper we look, the more Puma Punku begins to feel like a reflection, not just of ancient brilliance, but of ancient fear. Maybe these stones aren't ruins at all. Maybe they're a warning carved in stone, Here's the haunting question. If they were that advanced, where did they go? For decades, history books told us Puma Punku was built by the Tiwanaku people around the 6th century AD, but the latest evidence paints a very different picture, something older and something catastrophic. Archaeologists have found Tiwanaku pottery resting on top of the massive megaliths, not within them. That means the Tiwanaku came later. They worshipped at Puma Punku, but they didn't create it. So again, who did, and what wiped them out? The simplest explanation might also be the harshest: nature itself. The Bolivian highlands have been struck by violent earthquakes, floods, and climate shifts for thousands of years, and geological studies show fault lines running directly beneath Puma Punku. The scattered stones don't look weathered or slowly dismantled. They look violently thrown apart, as if by a massive, sudden force. Some experts point to a colossal flood, perhaps triggered by melting glaciers or a bursting ancient lake. Picture it, an unstoppable wall of water thundering across the plains, tossing 100-ton stones like toys. But others believe the truth might lie beyond the earth itself. Around 536 AD, the world plunged into what historians call a dark age. The sun dimmed for over a year. Crops failed. Ancient chroniclers wrote, "The sun gave forth its light without brightness." Tree rings show proof of an abrupt global cooling, signs of either a massive volcanic eruption or a comet exploding in the atmosphere. Even more eerie, AI mapping of Puma Punku's debris field shows a pattern eerily similar to blast waves from known impact events, like the Tunguska explosion in Siberia in 1908. Could it be that Puma Punku was built to observe cosmic cycles and was ultimately destroyed by one? But maybe nature wasn't the only reason. Maybe the builders themselves set the stage for their own downfall. Imagine a civilization where a small circle of astronomers, engineers, and architects held the keys to knowledge. Knowledge that the rest of society couldn't access. If that elite group perished in war, plague, or disaster, their secrets would have vanished overnight. History is full of echoes of this same tragedy. The Library of Alexandria, burned, its wisdom lost. The Mayan scribes, gone, their language forgotten for centuries. If Puma Punku's creators guarded their knowledge the same way, it would explain why no one afterward could ever rebuild it. The Tiwanaku might have inherited the ruins, but not the understanding behind them, like discovering a crashed spaceship and having no idea how it ever flew. Or maybe they didn't all vanish. Maybe they scattered. In Andean legends, there's a tale of Viracocha, a tall, bearded god who appeared after a great flood and taught people to build and farm before vanishing across the sea. Was he a myth or a distorted memory? A survivor of the Puma Punku builders who carried fragments of their lost science to other lands? If that's true, then maybe history doesn't move in a straight line. Maybe it's a cycle. Civilizations rise, reach brilliance, collapse, and are reborn over and over. We like to imagine progress as a straight climb from stone tools to smartphones. But what if it's more like a wave, cresting high, crashing down, then rising again? Every few years, archaeology pushes the start of civilization further back in time. Göbekli Tepe forced us to admit that complex religion and astronomy existed 6,000 years earlier than we thought. Ancient India's metallurgists proved people mastered advanced chemistry long before the Bronze Age. So what if Puma Punku is yet another reminder that we've been here before, that humanity once reached incredible heights and lost them? Because civilizations don't fade quietly. They fall fast and hard. If our modern world lost electricity tomorrow, no internet, no power, no machines, how long would our cities last? 1,000 years from now, would anyone even know who we were? Maybe that's exactly what happened last time. Maybe Puma Punku isn't just a mystery carved in stone. Maybe it's a message, a warning left for us by those who came before. Think about it. A civilization capable of engraving astronomical precision into solid rock, and yet not a single tool, workshop, or text remains. Just stone, just silence. And that silence speaks louder than words. It's a haunting reminder that civilizations, no matter how brilliant, are fragile. That knowledge can vanish in a heartbeat, leaving behind nothing but silent ruins for future generations to question, to wonder, to mourn. But this is where the story turns truly unsettling. When AI reconstructed Puma Punku, it detected something extraordinary. Alignments that seemed to follow vast cosmic rhythms, not just seasons or solstices, but deep repeating cycles of comets, solar storms, and planetary shifts. If that's true, then maybe the builders weren't simply watching the stars. Maybe they were trying to warn whoever came next. Imagine an ancient message carved into the earth itself, whispering across time. Look to the skies. This will come again. And that thought, that possibility, is terrifying, because what if their downfall wasn't random? What if it was part of a greater pattern, one that humanity keeps repeating? Puma Punku doesn't just tell the story of a vanished civilization. It might be telling ours. It's a mirror, showing that intelligence doesn't guarantee survival, and that even the greatest achievements can be erased overnight by disaster, neglect, or arrogance. Maybe history isn't a ladder climbing ever upward. Maybe it's a loop, a cycle of rise, brilliance, collapse, and silence. So, the real question becomes, where are we in that cycle right now? Are we still climbing at the very peak, or already standing at the edge of the next great fall? And what if the people of Puma Punku knew something we've lost? Knowledge written not in words, but in stone. Could their geometry hide warnings we've yet to understand? The question is no longer about them. It's about us. Will we listen before it's too late? Or are we destined to become just another brief flash of light in the endless rise and fall of human history? So what do you think really happened to the builders of Puma Punku? Was it a natural catastrophe, a collapse from within, or something far stranger? Share your theories in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And if this journey into the unknown fascinated you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries that challenge everything we think we know about our past, and maybe even our future.